Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Invest for More, and this was last Friday when I showed up to the courthouse to protest the $2,000 in fines they gave me for too many weeds in my yard. I did take the Countach because Fun Car Friday, and it was very early, so I didn't have time to change cars. And a lot of people thought I was making a mistake because the court might see my car, but the courthouse is actually farther away. They didn't have any windows looking at that spot. That building was where I pay my fine after I go to court. So here's the yard in question that they were so intent on fining me about. It's a rental property, and I got a notice on like April 2nd or something about the weeds. And I thought they meant the weeds were too tall. Tenants are supposed to take care of this yard. Sometimes they mow, sometimes they don't. So we got the notice. We drove by the house. I don't think I have a picture of it then. And we saw, oh, the weeds are a little tall. So we sent our guys, had them mow it, reminded the tenants again, they're supposed to mow it, told the city, and thought that would take care of it. Well, the city came back and said, no, you have too many weeds. It's not that your weeds were too tall. You have 50% of your yard is weeds, and it needs to be at least 50% grass, I believe is what they said. And so we thought that was odd because the yard is actually fairly green and fairly good shape considering the neighbors' yards and considering what other properties owned by the city of Greeley look like as well. So what we did is we went back, reseeded everything, planted seed, put sprinklers on, rototilled a little bit, called up the city, said, hey, all right, we fixed the yard, we planted seed, we're going to get more grass growing. There you go. And the city came back and said, nope, that's not good enough. You can't seed the yard. You've got to completely strip it, rototill it, seed it from scratch, or put in sod. And by this time, our hearing was coming up because they only gave us a couple of months from the time of the notice to our hearing, which is odd. Usually they give you more time or give you more warnings. You know, we've had situations like this in the past where it's never really been a big deal. And so we thought, okay, great. So we went back, completely tore out everything, put sod in, put in mulch, said, hey, city, guess what? We've redone the yard again. Come take a look at it. Let us know what you think. This was a couple days before the hearing, and the city responded and said, it's too late. We didn't get this in time for the hearing. You still have to go to the hearing. Now, I had an appointment scheduled because I didn't think I'd have to go to this hearing because we did all these things to avoid going to the hearing. It was on a Friday morning at 8:30. And so I said, can I attend a virtual meeting? Like, no. I'm like, okay, I've attended virtual hearings and court cases for my evictions and other things before, but all right. And I said, well, I can't make it. Can I send you pictures? And I sent in pictures. And by that time, the person had stopped responding, and the hearing ended up taking place without me. And at that hearing, they said, because I didn't show up, they were fining me $1,000 for the weeds and $1,000 for landscape code violations for not having enough grass or something. Total of $2,000 in fines. And then after the meeting, they said, oh, we got your email, we got the pictures. It was too late, and you can ask for a reconsideration hearing. So that is what I ended up doing. I sent in a letter to the judge saying what happened. That we sent in pictures showing it was all done. And they said, okay, your reconsideration is in 2 weeks. Please show up. That was me showing up in the car to the new hearing and walked into the courthouse. I have a recording of it. It was very boring and you couldn't hear very well, so I won't play it. I mean, I think I can legally play a recording, but there's some different rules, and I just don't feel like pushing the boundaries on that. But basically, I walk into a room. There's probably 10 other people in there. I believe it's just hearing for code violations. They did call me first. They had me sign a sheet saying I was there. I walk up to the front table, sit down. There's a judge with an assistant next to him. He asked me if the yard was taken care of. I said yes. The code violation person was also on the other side talking about it, said I had gotten everything taken care of on time. The judge goes through a few questions, asked me again if it was done before the last hearing. I said yes, pictures were sent in. We have pictures, it's all done before then. He said okay, talked some more about some different stuff, and then said, well, because you missed the hearing, we're still going to find you in violation. However, we're going to remove the fines. So I hadn't had any violations before, and I guess it gets more serious, or it puts you on their radar if you have violations. Well, they said I still am in violation. I'll be on that list, but I will not have the $2,000 fines. However, there's still a $25 court fee and a $100 filing fee for each one or something. So I had to pay $225 in court costs to do this, and not the $2,000 in actual fines. So that's the end of the story. I did listen to one other case a little bit, and then they took me out in the hallway, gave me my paperwork, and it would have seemed real odd to go back in there, I feel like, and I had other stuff to do, but I really wanted to hear what the other people were in there for, because I saw a lot of people with the pink notices coming to court for their hearing on their code violations. And the little bit of the case I heard was a lady actually had an attorney with her. The city was there with an attorney for them too, and they're talking about how tall her fence was. I guess she had a fence that was over 6 feet tall. She had taken down the top part of it, made it less than 6 feet. The city still wasn't happy with it for some reason, and they're there to talk about and fight whether they had to take the whole fence down or not. So again, I have no idea who's wrong or right in that. That's just the gist of what I heard from the next case coming up, which seemed to be the most serious one. And what you've been looking at is City of Greeley properties that I had recorded before my last video, right after they fined me, just showing what those lawns looked like and properties looked like, just in case they decided not to remove my fines or work with me at all. I had some of this footage and stuff to show them about what their properties look like, which look way worse than my properties or my neighbors' properties. And it's just interesting how they treat the different properties with different rules, I would say, unless they have special rules for the city properties. This technically was a county property because it was a school, not a city property, but they literally had no grass. It was just all weeds pretty much, but they're mowed nicely, just like mine, just all weeds. So I guess it could have gone worse. At least I got most of my fines removed. Got to learn a little bit about the system and how it works, and don't know why they're doing this, because I've seen them taking pictures. They've really seemed to be strict on yards this year. Very odd, especially because, we're in a very dry climate. There's not a lot of water in Colorado. There's a massive water shortage many years, and keeping grass green takes a lot of water. But again, I'm not in the government. I'm not going to run for the government, so the most I can do is educate people and talk about my story and what happened, and maybe that will encourage people in the government to maybe think a little more, or try to change policy, who knows, or at least just be aware of the double standard a little bit. All right, as we go away, of course, we'll have more videos on the laundromat, liquor store, other rentals, other flips, businesses, all things like that. And we'll leave you, as I was driving back in my Countach, with one last look at a City of Greeley property along a very major road and how it looks right now.